Today we have two fresh new Minis for you. This brand new 4th generation Cooper S and the all new Countryman, which we'll show you right after this. Launched at a price of rupees 44.9 lakhs, this 2-litre engine gets 204 horsepower sent, of course, to the front wheels. Now with every edition of the Mini, every new Mini, the design evolves a little bit. It moves forward, it's tighter, it's sharper, it's more dynamic, and that's what they've done here, and they've done a super job. Look at these headlights, they're different, but they're still recognizable as a Mini. There's various elements in them which you can change. That makes it really interesting. Of course, the grille, that frowning grille from the original Mini, that's evolved to this today. It's got this surround here which is in black for this petrol car, but you also get an electric version which BMW and Mini will launch towards the end of the year. Other nice details on this car are how this cut on the bonnet gives it a lot of definition, the manner in which these bulge out and give it a bit of muscle, and overall the designers have even managed to keep it compact and tight. The wheel arch in this matte black color is typically Mini, and the wheels you get are 17-inch 45s 215 rubber. Around the side, the cabin is typically Mini. It's inset from the lines of the car, and these pillars here in black and the flush mounted glass give it a really single piece design look. It's called the cockpit look, and here too Mini has done an excellent job. Interesting to note, this is pillarless and gives it an even more sporty feel. A bit more width in the rear, it looks a bit wider with these new tail lights sitting more towards the edge. And this car also gets this nice linked up rear with the Cooper S badge. Also a rear spoiler here and a fore diffuser to give it even more of a sporty look. Overall, the design has done a fabulous job in making it sporty, compact, and still absolutely 100% Mini. Whereas Minis in the past had a really tiny boot, this one is sort of practical. You can keep a couple of soft bags here. Because this is an import, there's no spare tire, only a puncture repair kit. Something to think about. Of course, my favorite part of the design is this clamshell bonnet, and that 204 horsepower engine gives it a 0 to 100 time of just 6.6 seconds, which means this is pretty quick. Now, while the exterior is quite similar and very in tune with what Mini is and what Mini should be, this interior is very different. Now, there's no leather on the inside that makes it quite different, but there are new materials and forms and features. Stuff like this new mesh material, the way these vents are built with a bit of chrome here, the faux leather here and here on the seats, and this steering wheel is all new as well. A few BMW elements here, but it is a new form, a new direction. Particularly interesting, that here isn't a spoke, it's a piece of Rexine that's been stretched from the wheel. So this is a 2-spoke wheel. The wheel is a bit larger than we are used to in a Mini, and again, no handbrake. Now this 9.4-inch screen is the centerpiece of this car, and it really is interesting in the number of features that you can use on it. Now here, of course, there are the HVAC controls. This controls your media and your music. Now when it comes to apps, this Android-based system has a whole host of interesting stuff. There's driver settings, viewer experience, including this interior camera, journey data, and media, and various other things. What you also get is this retro-looking dial, and a fun way to remind people that Mini has a great tradition. Navigation also pulls up this big map, but interestingly, there's no instrument panel here, just this HUD. What I really like, of course, is that this driving position is low and sporty. You can take the seat a fair bit down, and that makes this even more fun. The phone can be charged here, and you also get a strap similar to that one. Now, space definitely is at a premium here, especially when you sat in the back and you pull this seat towards you, then the space isn't too much, but it is usable for short drives, and of course that's what the Mini experience is all about. Visibility, however, is pretty poor with these tall seats and the big shoulders here of the seat back. So make sure the passenger sat on this seat doesn't get car sick easily. Launched at a price of 54.9 lakhs, this is a new Countryman EV. It's longer, it's taller, and it gets a lot more space on the inside. Lots of bits are based on BMW's X1, and this one initially comes to India only as an electric. Now 204 electric horses is what this gets under the hood. It's front wheel drive with the electric motor, and it gets a 0 to 100 time of 8.6 seconds. This is much heavier than the Cooper S, which also gets 204 horsepower incidentally. A much more square nose up front, much bigger and more bulbous, and these headlights, in the way they are squared off. Now this octagonal grille, whether you can call it an octagon or not, is a bit more rounded, and this here of course is a faux grille. Around the side, bulging arches with these nice cut lines, and if you see the glass house, it's much larger and more voluminous on the inside. This rear door in fact is substantially larger than the earlier car, and you also get this detail here to break up the mass. Towards the back, the roof drops towards the rear. Now the rear looks larger than it is because of this rounded bulging section. But what's interesting are these C-shaped tail lights, and they have the Union Jack in there. Look at it carefully and you'll see the British flag. Other details are the spoiler integrated into the roof, and there's a faux diffuser at the bottom as well, which kind of makes it sporty. There's plenty of space on the inside. What also helps give this new larger Countryman a solid stance are these big 19-inch wheels. I think they've really done well, and they give it a nice planted solid stance. Now it's much larger and spacious on the inside of course, but you have a lot of common elements. This mesh fabric, this pod here that has the experience button, the power button and the gear selector. This carried over steering wheel, the new Mini steering wheel with this strap, this 2-spoke steering wheel, and a lot of other features as well. Now the seat is really comfortable. It has nice bolstering on the side for your thighs as well as on your back, and it's a powered seat so you can adjust it quite easily. What's quite different is that this steering wheel is a bit offset, and that would take a bit to get used to. Now the 9.4-inch circular screen is almost identical to the Cooper S and gets the same sort of features, but here too it's a fun system that's easy to work with, and especially has some fun features like a camera and this large navigation panel. You can also get retro dials in this timeless mode, which really are quite interesting and look quite different and remind you that Mini had that central speedometer. This car also has a nice blend of textures, colors and metal finishes. Like here for this door, this color fades from blue to this sort of bronze. This here is your charging pad for your phone. It's got this nice stopper here. This part is built in rubber. And there's an interesting box here with a little flap which says Mini, which is pretty cool. Now there's a good amount of leg room in the back here. You can stretch your legs and put it under the seat, but the 66.4 kilowatt hour battery sits under your feet, and that means you're seated a bit knees up. The seat, however, is pretty comfortable. It's supple, soft, and there's a good amount of support for your lower back and your upper back. And the angle of recline is pretty comfortable too. There's also a lot of headroom, and this huge panoramic sunroof is sure to make it an interesting place to spend time. It also gets a bit of theatre seating, so the back is higher than the front, and that aids in vision. You get a central pod here for your AC, and there's basic controls for the AC, but you also get two USB-Cs here. Now 462 kilometers is the range this battery gives you, and you can charge it with DC or AC. A 22 kilowatt hour AC charger takes around 3 hours to charge this battery, or you can charge it in 30 minutes on a 130 kilowatt DC charger.